right, so let's just talk before this decides to die on me.
All right, so this
I
week we're
guess.
talking about Brittany Howard. First of all, I need to publicly apologize. Yeah, last week I could not think of her name.
It's
So
okay.
I called her Amber Howard. And then
It's
I was
okay.
like, I know that's not her name. And you were like, sure it is.
And
I
I was like,
said,
yeah, it's
okay.
Amber.
And
As if I
then
had...
my friend Gia FaceTime calls me Monday night. And she goes, I need to yell at you. Because how dare you call Brittany Howard Amber? Who is that? And I was like, I don't know. Leave me alone. So,
I put on the YouTube video that, like, no, you kept saying Amber, and I was like, I just, like, would flash up and be like, no, it's not Amber. And then I was like, yes, it is. And then, like, when I said yes, it is, I was like, no, it isn't. It is not.
So, big apologies there. But Brittany Howard is 30 years old, and she is from Athens, Alabama. She's technically in 3 bands, not including her own. So she was, like, most famously in Alabama Shakes, which was how most of us know her. And then she's also in a band called Thunder Bitch, which is, like, decently popular. Like, people know about Thunder Bitch. And then she's in another band called Bermuda Triangle, which I've never heard of before.
That's cool, though. Make your music, girl. Do it.
So she learned to play piano and write poetry for her sister, Jamie. Wow. Her sister was sick, and she died at the age of 13 from retinoblastoma in 1998. Brittany also had retinoblastoma, but she survived, but she's blind in one eye because of it.
Is that like a cancer, like an eye cancer or something?
It sounds like that's what that is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
So, like, that's how she started music. And then this whole album was made for her sister, basically.
That's nice.
Because it's named after her. She worked for USPS until her and her high school friend started Alabama Shakes, and he was the bassist. They went to high school together. And then they found a drummer and a guitarist after that. But recently, I think it was either early this year or last year, she stepped away from Alabama Shakes after a bout of writer's block and went on a journey of self-discovery, and then realized that she needs full autonomy over her music. For a minute. She was like, I need to be fully in control of what I'm creating for a minute. Like, just let me be the only creator.
Yeah,
that's understandable. And we'll go from there. So that's how this album was born.
Nice.
It was released September 20th, 2019, and has been named Best New Music by Pitchfork with an 8.6 rating.
There you go. That says it all right there.
She has roughly 887,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and roughly 38,000 followers on Spotify as well. She's a baller.
She is a baller. I highly enjoyed this album.
Yeah, I did too. There were parts of it that I skipped. It was the, like, chanty ranty parts.
Yeah.
Which, like,
we have very opposite favorite things on this album.
Yeah. Like, the first time I listened to it, I listened to them, obviously, because you have to. If you're going to review an album, you have to listen to every song all the way through. But the second on, I would skip those parts because I just don't want to listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked are you talking about 13th Century Metal? I think that was the chanty one.
I think so, yeah.
I didn't really, like, dive into the lyrics or anything too much, but there's just a lot of emotion in it, and it was just like, okay, yeah, that's cool, because she's just yelling and, like...
I have Genius pulled up, and Brittany Howard says that the title of the song is very literal. The song sounds like metal music, but it also sounds like a Gregorian chant. Robert Glasper plays on this record, and the funny thing about it is that he was just trying to figure out how to use his weird keyboard. the drummer, Nate Smith, had said, Rob, go play these keys and see if you can get a good sound out of them. So he goes into the booth and messes around, playing. And finally I'm like, wait, this is good. Are you hitting record? Rob plays through the whole song, and it's all improvised, one take. And at the end, I added in this poetry that I had written one day when I really needed inspiration. It was after Trump had been elected and Prince had died, and there was a lot of bad shit happening. And she said, wow, I don't know about this world. And she started writing.
Nice.
And so that's why it says, like, in the lyrics, she says, I hear the voices of the unheard, speak for those who cannot speak, and shelter the minds that carry a message of peace, love, and prosperity. And that's when she goes into the we're all brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I like that a lot. Whoa. Sorry, my phone just buzzed. Yeah. What was your favorite?
Mine was Stay High.
Mm-hmm.
So this song is actually about her dad and how he was like a special member of her family. I don't know. I really like this song.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was really good. Like I'm not saying I didn't like this song, but when I listened to it in the context of listening to the album, it sticks out to me style-wise. And like I'm not saying they all need to sound the same, but like it has like the little ping 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 like in it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it just felt more like, I don't really know how to describe it. It just felt less like soulful-ish, kind of. It had a little less of that style. Still very good though, but
there was a little bit of a acoustic tone to it.
Yeah,
which is not really what she goes for usually.
Yeah, it was just like very different from the rest of them, which is fine. But like, I was just a little thrown off because when you only have the one song on the whole album that's very different than the rest of them, you know, like there wasn't another one that like mirrored it or anything. But I always say this shit as if I make any of this, like, you know, as if I do this. But
I also really liked He Loves Me, which is weird for me to like that song because it's very much a song rooted in religion.
Yeah.
But I like the sentiment of it. I mean, the first verse is, I don't go to church anymore, but I know he still loves me. And it's all about how, like, no matter what I do, I know that this higher power is on my side.
Right.
Which I think is cool. Like, that she's like tight in her faith like that. I don't know.
I mean, and like, we don't need to go into religion or anything on this podcast because we each have our own issues with it. But yeah, I mean, for some people that really works, and if you use it for good and for, you know, your personal growth and all of that, more power to you. You know. Yeah. That's great. I can, that's the kind of religion that I can get behind, you know, when you use it to actually spread love and things like that. Yeah. I'm down for that part. The other part, not so much, but yeah.
What was your favorite?
My favorite was Short and Sweet because it's a ballad, of course. It kind of gave me like some Ella Fitzgerald vibes a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little touch of that, and it's just, I don't know, her voice is just really nice on it. I also did like 13th Century Metal a lot, just because it felt very emotional and very powerful. Hold on, I have such an issue remembering the names. Let me pull it up because there was another one I think that I wanted to talk about.
While you're looking that up, the first half of this album was better for me than the last half, with the exception of Baby.
Yeah. What does your note mean?
What no?
Baby gives me AS vibes. What does that mean?
Alabama Shakes.
Oh, okay. I was like, what is that?
Baby sounds like Alabama
Baby
Shakes
gives
to
me
me. Which
vibes. As vibes.
I don't know if maybe I was comparing this album to Alabama Shakes too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I am a huge Alabama Shakes fan. I fucking love everything that they do. So it's possible that I did that, but I think that's why I like Baby so much. It's because it gave me Alabama Shakes vibes.
I don't really listen to them very much, so
you don't.
I don't. I should. I need to.
Good.
I know, but
I said that this album was lyrically more, but musically less interesting than Alabama Shakes.
Mm-hmm.
So like lyrically, there was a lot more substance, and I mean that was kind of the whole point of this album, is that she needed to find herself again in music, and you can tell through her lyrics, but musically I feel like there's a lot less there. It's just all like very stripped back, and I mean obviously she has a band, but it's not the full band of people who understand each other and work together all the time.
Right. It's like she delegated, okay, you're gonna play this, you know.
Right. So again, all of my criticisms are related to Alabama Shakes, but what can you do?
What can you do? Yeah, I know that I really need to listen to them, and I just haven't. I don't know where I've been. Actually, we know where I've been. I've been in my playlists that I don't ever get out of because I'm a piece of shit, but that's all right. But no,
Boys and Girls is fantastic. It's definitely one of my favorite albums of theirs.
I'll definitely listen.
And then Sound and Color is the second one, but Boys and Girls is like, it's there for me. It's a solid fucking album.
Yeah. Yep. I don't remember which one I wanted to talk about. I agree with the first half. I felt was a lot stronger than the second half. The very last song, Run to Me? Whatever it is. I don't know if I was necessarily into that one. It just felt, and I'm sure if I like really dove into it and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, I probably should since this is a podcast and this is what it's for, but I never do because I'm garbage. But it just felt a little chaotic to me, like kind of in a weird.
This is funny.
Kind of in a weird way.
That makes sense because so I'm reading on Genius what the artists have said about the song. And Brittany says, "This is a weird one. I was cleaning my house and had my laptop on the bed. Now I never do this, but you can play keys using Logic and essentially play a fake digital piano. And on this day, on the fly, I wrote this entire synth track while grabbing bottles of Comet and cleaning my shower." Comet. Sorry. Why did I feel the need to say it that way? Comet. Bottles of Comet, the shower cleaning. I said Comet as if I thought I read it as if she was drinking something. Anyways, I kept repeating the line. I hope not. I kept repeating the line "Run to Me" in my head, probably because I was sad at the time since who I was with was pretty shitty. I had these little Apple headphones that had the little mic, and I'd just sing into that as words popped into my head. Funny enough, those original vocals are the ones on the final track.
Nice. That's probably why it feels chaotic to me. I mean, like, I'm not saying necessarily in a bad way. It's just like one of those, it's kind of hard to just like listen to, like, while you're doing something, because it's like, you know. But this is definitely one of those albums, like, I was listening to it again this morning and like looking out my balcony, and it was rainy and like gross, and I just had like my lamp on low, and I was just like, mwah, chef's kiss, lovely feeling. So relaxing. But yeah. That's that. You have 3 app updates available. No.
So, yeah, I like her.
I do too.
She's cool as fuck. I remember the first time I ever saw her on TV. I think it was at the Grammys.
I was gonna say I
know they did something
at the Grammys.
I think they won a Grammy. Or were nominated. I can't remember.
It was like 3 years ago? I feel like I remember being in my old apartment. Because I remember watching that.
It was in 2012.
It wasn't.
They released Boys and Girls, and they were given multiple Grammy Award nominations.
Well, I guess I wasn't in my apartment.
She
was in high
was
school.
named the recipient of Billboard's Women in Music Powerhouse Award in 2015,
Nice.
which, of course,
Yeah,
she
for
was. Sure. She is like, if you think of Powerhouse, like modern day Powerhouse, I think of Brittany Howard.
For sure.
But I just remember the first time we saw her on TV, like I had listened to Alabama Shakes before, because I think one of their songs from Boys and Girls was on Parenthood, and so my family started listening to Alabama Shakes. But then we saw her on there, and she moves her mouth in such a specific way when she sings. Like her mouth is a perfect circle sometimes.
Oh, that's weird.
And it's just like so interesting to just watch her sing. I don't know, it's wild.
I always find it interesting when people like sing, like their stage presence and the way that they move their mouth is like really kind of odd.
Yeah.
I never find it odd.
Which
I find
song
it cool.
is it? One of the songs on here, she like speaks at the beginning, and then it goes into her singing. I think it's one of the last three. But like you almost don't, like her speaking voice and her singing voice are so different. Like her speaking voice is very feminine.
Yeah.
And then her singing voice has like a masculine tone to it.
Yeah, it does.
And so it was really like, she was like, and I'm Brittany and blah blah blah.
And she's like,
it's Brittany, bitch.
It's Brittany, bitch.
So I just really like her.
Yeah, she's very good. I know I've definitely like, there's, God, I'm exposing myself. Sometimes when we listen to albums, it's like I listen to them and then I'm like, okay, I've moved on completely from that. I probably won't go back to it. I'll probably go back to some of this. This is one of those that will make me continue listening to it.
Definitely. There's at least a couple of the songs I'll add to my
for sure.
library.
I want to make a playlist for sitting and looking out my window, so maybe this will be on it.
Well, you guys can tell us what you liked on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, anywhere you can find a podcast, we're probably there. If we're not, find a different podcast app.
I wanted to say, really quick, I'm interrupting. It's National Podcasting Day today.
Is it really?
Spotify sent me a notification this morning. So that's all.
That's fun.
Thanks for listening to our stupid podcast.
Maybe we should shout out a couple podcasts that we like to listen to.
Okay, yeah. For
other
National
people can listen to.
Podcasting Day. Well, y'all know what I like to listen to.
I've in the last couple of months binged through all of Crime Junkies. Which, do you listen to Crime Junkies? I don't,
but I need to move on because I just caught up to the one I was binging. So,
yeah, I think you would like Crime Junkies. It's very, I like it more than My Favorite Murder, if I'm being honest. There's a lot less chit chat, and when they're talking through a story, there's not jokes, so it's very serious, and most of them are unsolved. Because they partner with Crime Stoppers.
That sounds like The Murder Squad. It is on the Exactly Right network with Billy Jensen and Paul Holes. That one's really good too. Those are mostly unsolved, and they're like new cases. So they're like, here's all the details. We're asking you if you know anything. Let us know.
Yeah.
So that one's good too. I just caught up to Small Town Murder, which, like, no slander to MFM because I, tried and true. That was the first crime podcast I got into. Still love it, but like, I like Small Town Murder better also, just because they actually do have a lot more jokes, but I don't know, they're just way darker in humor, and it's just so funny. It's so funny, and they do small towns, so like it's murders that people don't know about, right? And that's just more interesting to me because it's just like, oh, like these like random people in random small towns are just like losing their shit, and it's interesting.
Yeah, Crime Junkies did. They called it the Murder on High Hill, but it was the Delphi
Oh, yeah.
case, which was really interesting. It was a two-parter, and it was really interesting because that happened while we were at school.
Yeah.
So for people that don't know, Delphi is about a 20-minute drive from where Leah and I went to college.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a really big
Yeah, I
deal
remember.
to like the campus because all of a sudden there's a murder on the loose 20 minutes from campus.
Well, I remember Megan's mom, like, was texting Megan, and she's, like, freaking out, like, don't go outside after this time, and, like, it was, like, really nerve-wracking because, I mean, like, people walk around campus at night alone. I did it all the time, you know? Sometimes I had,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
especially we're film majors. We had movie screenings, you know? So it's, like,
Right.
we were out at night all the time alone, and, yeah, it was very scary because it's like you listen to these things and you're like really into it, but you never think it's going to be anywhere near you. And it was two girls our age that like went on a hike.
No, they were like 13.
Oh, duh. For some reason it's always been in my brain that they were our age, but still they were young girls, and
yeah,
we're still young girls. We're not 13, but
technically, yeah. I mean, I get mistaken for a 16-year-old all the time.
No.
I'm 22, so.
This is irrelevant, but I saw a TikTok yesterday of this kid who, and it was like, if you're born 2004 to 2006, like, use this audio, like, because we look way older. And he looked my age, and he was born in 2006. I was like, I am 10 years older than this person, and he looks my age, and I hate myself. I'm also on TikTok.
Disgusting.
I'm 23 years old, and I'm on TikTok.
I fucking love TikTok.
I do too.
We still are doing 4 more episodes till TikTok episode.
I need to do it immediately because I have TikTok songs in my head constantly. Literally constantly. And you know what? Okay, I've got Luke. Like, he doesn't watch TikTok or anything. Like, I'll show him some. But they're mostly dogs. And so he'll walk around going, Soccer put it in a butt. He sings that all the time.
That's funny.
Oh, God, it's ruining my life. Anyway.
Just a couple more podcast shout-outs that I've got. I've been listening to this podcast by 2 women that actually live in Indianapolis. Shout out to my friend Gia. She put me onto it. It's called And Also, and it's a review podcast. So, like, they kind of just talk about stuff that they've tried recently, or, like, if they have a friend that's like, hey, I really wanted to try this. Do you guys want to, like, try it out for me and let me know how it is? And so, like, they've talked about Glacier, and they talk about, like, every week they have a different beverage. So usually it's like an alcoholic beverage that they'll want to try, but they also try like different LaCroix flavors or different whatever. Nice. Just it's a review podcast, so
a review of everything.
It's cool.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
And they're like us, like they're friends, and like it's not just people doing a podcast, like they're friends in real life, so they like have a good rapport. Nice. So I've been listening to that. As well as I always listen to Pete Holmes' podcast, You Made It Weird. That one's always good, especially if you're like doing a lot of shit for a day, because it's usually like a 3-hour-long podcast. But he does talk for about 15 minutes at the beginning, so I usually skip that. And then Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard, yeah. I usually listen to.
My mom loves that podcast.
I have to take breaks with it because he talks so much. Like, his podcast is very much about himself, even though each week has a different guest. But I love Kristen Bell and Dak Shepard, so I like the podcast a lot.
Yeah. I also, some of the other ones I listen to, if you're into, like, paranormal stuff, like if you're a crazy person like I am, although I don't think it's crazy to be into that stuff, I listen to Astonishing Legends. I don't know if you ever listened to that one. They do anything related to the unknown. So, like, they have episodes on ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot and just literally like, they're not just, like, paranormal. They're just, like, you know, like, unknown anomalies, like, anything like that. And they do, like, really long episodes. Like, they did a paranormal investigation, and the episode is, like, 3 hours long because they cover literally every single detail. And I like that because it's very interesting. And they don't come in like, you know, they're believers, but they play to the skeptic. So they, like, give you every detail. And if they think something was not paranormal. They'll be like, well, this could have happened. It could have been this, could have been that, could have been this, but we don't know. So I really like that one, and it just covers so many different unknown things. And if you're into specifically ghosts, Jim Harold's Campfire is, this guy hosts it, but he just has like random people can just call in and tell their ghost story on the podcast, and then like he'll do like 2 or 3 like phone calls per episode, and it's very interesting. So if you're into that kind of stuff,
that does sound fun.
Those are some good ones. Megan got me into Astonishing Legends because she's obsessed with Bigfoot, and I'm exposing her on the internet.
I was literally gonna say shout out to Megan and Bigfoot.
Yeah, no, they're a match made in heaven.
I just spilled my tea all over myself.
Not the tea.
Well, I didn't clear this with you, but next week I would like to do Not Waving But Drowning by Loyal Carner.
I don't know what that is, but sure.
He is besties with Tom Misch.
Ooh, okay.
Tom helped produce 2 of the tracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
When this album came out early spring.
Mm-hmm.
It was still while we were in school, and I was listening to it on repeat for about 2 months. And then I rediscovered it again like last week, and I was like, oh fuck, we gotta do it. Okay. So we gotta do it.
I'm into that. All right.
Cool. Well, have a musical Monday, everybody.
Do it now.
See you later.
Bye, bitches.
Bye.